Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining this episode, Tech Interview Made Easy by Dr. Ho. Today, we're going to talk about a question asked by Amazon. It's about the probability of a disease testing. Actually, this question has been asked from Google as well. I remember a couple of years ago when I was interviewed with Google YouTube department, they asked the same question. So the question is like this. So 1 in 1,000 people have a particular disease. So if you translate that into math, is that the probability of disease is 1 over 8,000, which means it's 0.001. And then the next sentence is that the test for the disease is 98% correct in testing for the disease. So which means that given that you have the disease and the test comes back positive. So that's what it means by correct. And the probability of that is 98%, which means it's 0.98. And then the next sentence says, on the other hand, the test has a 1% error rate if the person being tested does not have the disease. So the error happens is that when you do not have a disease, right? Not disease, but the test still comes back positive. And the error rate for that is 1%, which means it's 0.01. 0.01. And then the question is, if someone tests positive, so that means given that the tests come back positive, what are the odds that they have the disease? Okay, so what's the probability that they have the disease? This is a very classic conditional probability question. Like I mentioned before, it's not only asked by Amazon, but it's also asked by Google. So let's see how we solve this. But before that, I just want to quickly review some conditional probability formulas. So basically, let's review some formulas here. So we have probability of A intersect with B. If we use the conditional probability formula, that would be probability of A given B times the probability of B. It's also the probability of B given A times the probability of A. And then if you just look at the last two, the probability of A given B times the probability of B equals the probability of B given A times the probability of given A. So then we can say, okay, then the probability of B given A will equal the probability of A given B times the probability of B divided by the probability of A. So this is the formula we're going to use to solve this question. So coming back to this question, so we're going to compute the probability of disease given the test is positive. So if you plug into that formula, so it would be the probability of positive test given you have disease multiply by the probability of the disease divided by the probability of positive testing. And if you look at the formula, so what we had is that we already had, given the disease, the test comes back positive. That is 0.98. And then we also have the probability of the disease. That's 0.001. So the only thing that requires us to compute is the probability of positive testing. And then the probability of positive testing has two cases. The first one is that the test is positive given that the person has the disease. So, and then we multiply the probability that the person has the disease. So that's the first case. And then the second case is that the test comes back positive, but the person does not have the disease. And then we multiply by the probability that the person does not have the disease. So then let's compute that. So the probability that Given that it has disease and the test comes back positive, that's 0.98. And then the probability of the disease, that's 0.001. And then the second case is that the person does not have the disease, but the test comes back positive. So that's the 1% error rate. So that's the 1% there, this is 0.01. And then the person does not have a disease is the opposite of the person who has the disease, right? So that's 1 minus 0.001. So 1 minus the probability of disease. And now let's plug everything back to this equation here. So then we have the denominator is just this. I'll copy it. So it's that. And then the numerator is just 0.98 times 0.001. Oh, sorry, the dot doesn't show up there, so I put it here too. Yeah, and if you calculate this, then the result will be 0.0893, which is 8.93%. This is kind of surprising if you see this, because the accurate rate, the correct rate, it's so high, it's 98%. So you would think that, okay, if I go for the test for the disease and it comes back positive, I'm very likely to have it, the disease. But in reality is that, no, it's not necessarily the case. By the computation we just did, you actually only had about 9%-ish chance to have disease. So that's why sometimes it's suggested that you go to another doctor for the test. If both tests come back positive, then you will actually have a higher chance to have the disease. And we'll talk about this in the next video. So what will happen if you go to another doctor and take the test and then the test comes back positive? So what is the probability by then that you will have the disease? Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.